Buongiorno everyone, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV for the opposition preview for Sunday's game, 2 o'clock kickoff, away game for Newcastle at the Molineux Stadium against Wolverhampton Wanderers, 2 p.m. kickoff, live on Sky Sports, and we're joined by our favourite Wolves channel, Talking Wolves, and we've got Dave here. How are you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me back on the channel. Yeah, looking forward to the game.
Yeah, not a problem. Well, we've got quite a bit to cover as we're just talking off screen there. Not been the best start for you guys. Just going to jump straight into that one. Only 1 point on the board in the first 3 games, sitting in the bottom 3. Of course, it's only 3 games in, so you can't really judge a season too quickly after only 3 games. But yeah, not too good. Only 1 point on the board. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm still feeling optimistic. We've had a little bit of a change in system. Bruno Lage obviously bringing in some new players this summer, but on the flip side to that, we ignore our Carabao Cup win on Tuesday, we're actually 10 games without a win in the Premier League if you're including last season's results.
Wow,
And
didn't realise
so
it was that bad.
on paper it doesn't look great. I'm having a few people bring that up to me, but I'm sort of trying to ignore last season. I think it's completely irrelevant when you start a new campaign. And our performances have still been okay. We've played Leeds, we played Fulham, and played Tottenham, and I would argue against Fulham and Spurs, we were probably the better team, to be honest. So we should have more points on the board. But once again, our main issue, as it was last year and as it was the year before, to be fair, we're just not scoring enough goals. So that's something that Wolves need to address sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. Like Spurs, like it was a pretty good game. Like I say, you don't want to judge a season too quickly off of the first 3 games. Like you did play a very good Spurs team. They have been very good this season. And you probably were the better team, just coming away just unlucky with a 1-0 defeat there. But I think for you, particularly what I enjoyed last season was keeping goals out. I think the goalkeeper, Jose Sarr, had a very good season. And I was having a look through some of the people that you've lost. I know, like Connor Cody. How did you feel about losing him? There's a few in there as well. There's Gibbs White, obviously got a big transfer fee. Can't really be too mad at that. But Saiss, Vinagre, Marcel, you've lost a few this season.
Yeah. So there were a lot of those players that you mentioned. Sort of, we were expecting to lose anyway. To be fair, like Vinagre was like a pre-arranged transfer, so we knew that was going to happen. Saiss and Marcel were both going to leave on freeze. We sort of weren't sure until the end of the season what was going to be happening there. But the club knew, like the club should really have had a plan to replace them. Connor Cody, the one you mentioned there, was probably the biggest shock. But for most Wolves fans, it made sense. I can understand why, from like an outsider or a non-Wolves fan, why it looked a little bit confusing. But he was the heart of a back 3 system, which was good. He was a good captain for Wolves. But as a footballer, there's better players out there. There's better defenders out there. So with Wolves switching to a back 4, he was never going to be a starter for Wolves, not regularly anyway. And with it being a World Cup year, he wants to try and get minutes elsewhere to make sure he's going to be in the World Cup squad. So I think, he has been at Wolves for 7 years. I think there's some mutual respect between him and the club to obviously try and get him into that World Cup squad, and that's why obviously he's gone to join Frank Lampard at Everton. So I'm not overly bothered with it. I think we will obviously miss his leadership and so on behind the scenes and on the pitch. But I think for Wolves to take the next step, they need to be brave and make decisions like this. So it was a big decision for the club and Bruno Lage to make, but I think it's the right one. It's something that will hopefully give us the next step in the Premier League.
Yeah, are you enjoying the new system so far? I know you're, like we say, we haven't really got too many wins so far, but I think Wolves been playing that again, like 5 at the back formation for quite a while, with like Saiss and Marcel being quite important, like wing back figures. Cody at the back in a back 3 with Kilman and whoever else. Like, I know you haven't really won, but how's it going? Are you enjoying a bit of a change?
Yeah, definitely. I think during pre-season as well, we pretty much saw the back 4 throughout, and it was a refreshing change. Like you said, ever since Nuno joined, which was probably, I think it's 5 years ago now.
Yeah, a while ago.
We've seen that formation, and yes, it's got its positives, but it's also got a lot of negatives. And when you've averaged less than a goal a game for the last 2 years combined, that's something needs to change. So I think, although it hasn't started yet, I think this will, is creating more opportunities for us. We've just got to start sticking to them in the back of the net. But it's just good to see more players going forward, more players getting into the area, and I'm hoping it's just going to click soon, and we're gonna see some goals flowing. And Obviously, you're probably hoping it won't happen, but on Sunday, I'm hoping it will click and we'll score a couple of goals.
I'm sure, yeah. The couple of new guys through the door, a couple of new Portuguese guys. That is where is it Guedes? Is he Portuguese?
Yeah,
Isn't he?
Portuguese, yeah.
And spent big money on Matthias Nunes as well. How have they settled into the Premier League so far?
Yeah. Both good signings, both surprised because they both happened so quickly as well. Guedes was an interesting one because I'm not going to say we were stacked, but he can play out wide, he could play through the middle as a striker as well. And he's somebody that we linked with every summer. With it being Portuguese, it happens. So it came as a surprise, really. I think he was linked on the Saturday evening, and by the Monday evening he'd signed. But he's been all right. He had a few minutes against Fulham. He started against Spurs and he looked quite bright and looked good. Nunes is another one, such a surprise. And again, someone that we've been linked with all throughout the summer, but it just never looks likely. I think that one was linked on the Monday evening, and by the Wednesday evening, he'd signed. But he just looks unbelievable. Again, we saw him start against Tottenham, which was a bit of a surprise because he'd only signed for the club sort of 48 hours before, and he played the full 90 against Preston as well. And that's the first time we've been able to see him in the flesh. And I know he's against championship opposition, but he looks miles ahead of anybody else on the pitch. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see how he can get on in the league this season.
Yeah, well, we might be seeing a little bit more on Sunday, coming up against Newcastle, game 4 of the Premier League. Obviously, yeah, hoping to get that first win on home turf as well. Hasn't been the classiest of fixtures over the last few years. We've seen a lot of draws. I think a couple of seasons ago we'd done this preview, and I was like, I'm putting my money on a draw because it always bloody is.
0-0 or 1-1. Always happens, yeah.
We've shared a few of the spoilers. I think you've won 2 since you got promoted. I think was it 2019 you got promoted. I think you've won twice, one at home, one away. We won at St James's last season. You won at the Molineux last season as well. So no draws last season. So hopefully that's the end of our little draw duct. Hopefully we can see a few more entertaining games. But like you've had probably the better of us. Like I say, most of them have been draws, but you've won more than what we have since you've been promoted due to lesser Newcastle sides. But we've improved a little bit over the past 12 months, if you hadn't noticed. How are you feeling coming into Newcastle now?
It's going to be difficult, and I watched you guys against City on Sunday, and I thought you were fantastic. You're unlucky not to come away with all 3 points in that game. And my opinion on Eddie Howe as a manager has changed significantly as well. He was somebody that I didn't really rate as a manager, and I remember when the takeover rumors were happening and when it went through, and you were looking and talking about managers like Mourinho and this person and this person. And then when it was Eddie Howe, I was like, and I was surprised. He was fantastic last year, and he started off this season very well as well. And I thought he showed as a manager a lot of qualities in that game against Manchester City on Sunday as well. How he sort of nullified Manchester City. So yeah, it's going to be tough. You've added some real quality to the team. Obviously, a new boy looking like he's signing and might be part of the squad as well.
Hopefully so, yeah. So we're unbeaten so far this season. You're without a win. How do you see Wolves getting the first 3 points of the season?
It's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be tough. Sorry for the dogs in the background. It's going to be a tough game, but it'll be close. It'll be really close, and I'm just hoping that Wolves now there's pressure. I'm not going to say there's pressure starting to mount, but there's definitely a desire there that we've got to get our first win. And we've got you guys this weekend. We've got Bournemouth next in midweek, and if we don't get a win there in our first 5 games, someone's going to be in serious trouble. Well, it's going to be a tough game, especially watching you against City. But it's going to be one, I think, in the wide areas for us. We've got Neto, we've got Podence, we've got Guedes. We've got a lot of quality there. But the midfield battle is going to be key as well. So I'll be intrigued to see if Wolves go with. We've seen a 4-2-3-1 so far. We've also seen a 4-3-3, and I think. And keep them out of the game a little bit more. So for us, it's obviously going to be Nunes, Neves, and Martinho probably to play in the middle. I think that's going to be where the game is won and lost.
Well, that is what I was going to get onto next. You've already covered a little bit of it, but lineup prediction. I had a look at your team for the first 3 games. There has been a little bit of a change. There hasn't really been a great lot of consistency in the team. So any injuries, do you think? Who do you think is going to be the starting 11?
Well, we've seen a lot of players come back from injury. So players like Martinho, players like Jimenez, they're fit. Like Martinho especially played, just over 60 minutes on Tuesday. So the players are coming back into fitness. I think that in terms of the team, I think Sarr will definitely start in goal. We'll definitely see
Yeah, I
Kilman and
like him.
Collins start as our centre back. The fullbacks is an interesting one. We've started Aït-Nouri and Johnny for the first 3 games of the season, but Semedo's come back from injury and he's looked all right. I don't know if that will change. We might see Johnny on the left and Semedo on the right, or Aït-Nouri on the left and Semedo on the right again. I'd probably stick with Aït-Nouri and Johnny again, just because I know they're fully fit. I think it'll be a midfield 3, like I've mentioned, of Neves, Nunes, and Matinho. And the front 3 is a bit of a headache for Bruno Lage now, because he's got Guedes, he's got Neto, he's got obviously Jimenez coming back. He's even got Hwang and Adama Traoré. So there's lots of options there for him to have. But if I had to guess, I think he'll go with Jimenez up front and then probably start Guedes and Neto next to him.
I've seen some. You just brought Hwang in on a permanent deal, haven't you? Yeah, I've seen some rumors about him leaving already. I've seen Leeds are trying to tee him up to replace Dan James. What's the crap with that?
Yeah, he's been linked with moves away. If I'm honest, I don't rate him very highly, so I would happily sell him on. But yeah, we did it a number of years ago where we'd signed a Phobie. He was on loan at Wolves. We'd signed him and then sold him the next day to Bournemouth to make a quick profit on. So it can happen.
Clever.
But,
I like it.
Yeah, I'd be intrigued with it being so late in the window. What happens with that? But yeah, Lee he played under Jesse Marsch in Germany and in Austria, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can see that linking up because he scored 2 goals against us at the Molineux last year to give you that win at home. So, I'd quite happily not see him again because I didn't really enjoy that game. So, score prediction. If I can squeeze a score out of you, do you think it's going to be the first win? Happy for another draw?
I think my head is saying a 1-1. And my heart is saying a 1-0 Wolves. I think it'll be a very close game.
Scrape it out.
Either way.
I'll say it being a close game. Yeah, I think it is going to be a little bit scrappy. Like I think, like you're obviously fighting for that win. We're trying to keep our unbeaten run, but yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. We'll just have a look at our sponsor as we both share. It's the BetMate Derby this week. The Magpie Channel versus Talking Wolves, and there isn't any bets on. There's no wagers or anything this week, but I've still got my losing token from last season.
Oh, yes.
If anyone can remember that, I'll finish bottom of the group between us two, Matty from the Magpie Channel and Matt from Talking Wolves, and I'll do a preview in a Wolves shirt. But it's a nice shirt, to be fair. I'll keep it in my collection. I've still got it.
He's been wearing that to do his gardening and
I do, yeah. Feeding the baby, anything, doing the painting at home, yeah. It's a nice little shirt.
Painted.
But yeah, we're back this week, though. For the Premier League 2 o'clock Sunday kickoff. So there's a few fixtures there, not just Wolves and Newcastle. £600 payout. Get your bet in there and put your code in to get £5 free entry if you're new. And Dave's got his team on there. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, so I've got a bit of Newcastle.
3 Newcastle players.
Yeah, it shows how positive I am for Sunday, obviously. No, but I think I might switch mine up, obviously, when the lineups come out. But I've gone with Emi Martinez in goal for the Villa, Trippier and Johnny at the back, Nunes and Bruno in the midfield, and Ollie Watkins up front with St. Maximin.
Yeah, I think mine's not too dissimilar, particularly up top. There's mine on there. I've got Ollie Watkins up front as my captain. And I've just taken Callum Wilson out as he's expected to be injured for St. Maximin. So we have got the same 2 up front. I've got Ruben Neves, Kieran Trippier, as you can always expect a good game out of. And Nick Pope's been fantastic at the back for us. I've got 3 Villa players in there. I didn't realise I'm stacking up so heavily on the Villa players. But saying that, West Ham's the only team without a point this season. So that's maybe me thinking behind that. So there's mine and Dave's team. If you think you can beat us, then join us in the league. Like I said, no wagers this week. So don't worry, Dave. You'll not have to wear a Newcastle shirt next week. But we're going to do a preview on Talking Wolves shortly. So you get to hear my opinions on the game and all things Talking Newcastle over on that side. So for this week, thanks very much for joining with Dave. Appreciate it, mate. See you soon
my
on
pleasure.
your
Thanks.
channel.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Talking Wolves. So yeah, be sure to check it out, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, link will be in the description below. Subscribe to both channels, like this video, and enjoy the game on Sunday. Thanks for tuning in.